Well, hey, it's Training Tuesday, this little thing that I kind of do every Tuesday. It's a practice I'm trying to cultivate and to give value back, to do some little bit of coaching, to get us all on the same track and make sure that we're living by life in our very best selves. And I'm Suzanne Castle, if you're not sure who I am. And today, I really want to talk about something that has been on my mind. I've been reading this book. I should show you the book because it's a fabulous book. So, Becoming Superwoman. And whether you're a woman or a man, like if you may have a woman in your life that needs this, if you're a man, and if you're a woman, it is fabulous. It's Nicole Lapin, and I may do a book study on it or something. We'll see. But I was going along my merry little way, and I've use an orange highlighter, and I was highlighting all sorts of things, and I was actually sitting in a doctor's office and take a book, because you know how doctors are, and I came across the beginning at one of the chapters, and she wrote the words that said that the difference between imbalance, and imbalance is just a letter and a space. The difference between imbalance and imbalance is just a letter and a space. And it honestly, it caught me unawares. I don't mind telling you, it got a little fluttery inside. And I began to question, is my life imbalanced or is it in balance? And I had to sit with that for a while. And so I was jotting down some notes for myself to kind of think through that and what does that look like. And she's got some helpful tips about that and conversation about that. But I was thinking about all of the people that I come in contact with and that either use me as a client, or I come in and consult with them, or friends that come over, and people, no matter where they are in life that I'm talking to. It seems like this concept of imbalance and imbalance is kind of the undergird of a lot of conversations that I'm having. And so I wanted to briefly kind of talk about so my notes that I kind of wrote down is, what does in being in balance look like? And I was thinking to myself, do you feel like you are so busy that you don't have time for a life? Whatever aspect of life that might be, or maybe you feel constantly behind. I know that's a real thing for a lot of people, and so I was thinking about the areas of life that I negotiate, sometimes well and sometimes not so well, to kind of achieve this work, life, friend, mom balance, so that I can be more productive, more present, and less stressed. And because let's face it, when we're not stressing about XYZ, like let's say when you're not stressing about your job, you can relax when you're at home. And if you're stressed about your home all the time, then you're constantly fragmented at work. I mean, this is that kind of balance thing that I'm talking about. And so here's some things that I jotted down, and I'd love to hear comments from you. You might put them in the chat bar, or later put them in below and see what you think about these. I'm just kind of workshopping this with you. So the first one is to slow down. So it seems to me that when I'm overwhelmed, when other people are overwhelmed, and we're running in circles and just don't have enough time, and we're going from one thing to the next, to the next, even saying that is frantic speak, right? And sometimes the best thing that we can do is actually slow down. Sounds great, right? Sounds great. But yet tomorrow we're going to be back on the frantic horse again. Well, maybe it's because we're not prioritizing. We're not taking the time to prioritize, because going faster doesn't mean that you're more productive. It doesn't even mean that you accomplish more things. I think we've been trained to say that when we're going faster at something, then we get a lot of things done. But doing things right the very first time will save time in the long run. If you're a mom or a dad, sometimes you might like you've told your kid that if you would have just taken the time to do it right, you wouldn't have to go back and do it again. But when we get to be an adult, we forget that slowing down and being present with whatever activity we're doing, whether it's work or life related outside of work, that sometimes just slowing down is the first step from an imbalanced life to an imbalanced life. And so take the time to prioritize. And then another thing that I was thinking about is how when we're frantically running around, we tend to procrastinate things that are important. So it's certain things about life are mundane. We don't want to do them. And so one of the tricks that I do is I set aside, okay, what are the things today that are mundane and yucky that I really don't want to do? And then I build that in and do something I really, really like to do, or a project I really want to work on after that, so that I have kind of almost in a treat way retrained myself to breathe a sigh of relief sooner. So scheduling, I mean, maybe even an afternoon to finish pesky tasks, you can move on to more interesting things, more fun things. I think that really works really well. And then another thing that helps me slow down and helps me focus is to actually share work. Don't have to do everything. And so you can recruit fellow employees, you can recruit family members and say, I've got a really busy week and I don't want to be frantic. So I was wondering if you could help me do some things. Most people I shouldn't say that. I should say that a lot of people would love to be helpful to you, but usually we're really bad at giving them clues on what we might need. Like, what does that mean to be helpful in a circumstance? And so one of the things I would invite you to do when you're thinking about slowing down is think about language that allows people to help you. And then I was thinking to myself, well, another way that I need to be a part of that is when I'm imbalanced in my life, is that I make things pretty complicated. I don't know if you're like me and everything is pretty easy for you, but as humans, I find that we tend to make extra work for ourselves, even if it's unnecessary. So one of the things that I wrote down for myself is I need to simplify things. So quit trying to create all the time. I'm a creator by nature, so I'm always trying to create, but maybe I don't need to be reinventing the wheel all the time. And if something doesn't work, then I think immediately one thing I need to do is simplify it to say, okay, that's not working, so I'm not going to give it another shot. That doesn't work for me. And kind of that keep it simple kind of a thing, like keep it simple, keep it silly. If I'm not having a lot of joy about something, then I also need to simplify something in my life. I've spent a lot of time in the last week. Maybe you were part of the free workshop that I was offering on decluttering, because clutter helps us not be focused. So I just wanted to say another word in here about the impact of decluttering. So when you streamline where you are in your space, whether it's work, car, or home, it makes it a less stressful place for you, and it gives you more time, it gives you more balance. And so that's something that I would say is super important if you're feeling a little out of balance. I don't know about you, but I have a really terrible time with the word no. I find a lot of people that aren't in balance in their life have a hard time saying no. And so together, maybe we can be a part of a compact that says we need to be better about saying no, and we'll help each other do that. Because when your workload is maxed out, whether it's at your job or it's at home or whatever it is, sometimes we need to be assertive and remind ourselves it's okay to say no. It's okay to let my boss understand that my plate is full, that I'm not being insubordinate. It's okay to let my family know I can't go to this thing. I can't make dinner. Like, let's do Uber Eats or whatever it is. Like, it's okay to have a boundary about that and to stay within the hours of what you've assigned. So if you're working on a project and you've scheduled hours, it's okay to stay within that and then go away for a little bit. I think when you are always about one thing, it makes life less enjoyable, and we don't want to be about that, especially here. I'm all about the joy and the happiness, and maybe eliminating distractions can be part of how you think about decluttering. And so if your personal life is interfering with your job, let's say, you need to set some boundaries. You need to be firm with what you have to finish. So maybe it's you're switching off your cell phone during certain hours. Maybe you are delaying socializing with friends until a certain project is done. So I need you to think about your world as streamlining, right? So that you can help gain some more balance and you're not always playing catch up. And then one of the things that I noted when I was sitting in the doctor's office and I was thinking through if my life is balanced or imbalanced was the role of technology. And you'll hear me say a lot of times that technology is sometimes not a helpful thing when we're trying to engage differently and be about relationships. But this is where I want to talk about using technology to your advantage. So a small time investment in entering information, such as addresses or contact information, into some kind of system that you can use, saves a lot of time. If there's an app that can track things for you, that is a wonderful advancement of technology. If you can use a reminder in some way, if you can, there are a lot of list making apps that based on time and when due dates, they will organize it in the best, most efficient way for you to work on things. These are good things for technology, and these are good systems. So maybe try a few on, and maybe you can do some helpful hints in the comments, and we could start kind of a list of apps or technology hacks that you found that help you live a more balanced life and keep up with things. Seriously, that's kind of all I wanted to share today about balance and imbalance, except I really want to talk for a minute about pie. Yeah, pie. Not that kind of pie. I wish it was all the pie that we eat, but it's a different kind of pie. So in that same book, Becoming Superwoman, one of the things that she talks about, and I'm going to grab my book right here so I don't mess it up, is that balance isn't the same for everyone. So at a certain phase in your life, balance might be working a 90-hour work week. At a certain phase in your life, it might be that you're volunteering 50% of your time. In another time in your life, you're looking to balance more time for family and outside fun rather than always being stuck at the office, let's say. So what the author suggests, and I thought this was a very helpful thing, is a pie, like a pie chart, okay? And you have 10 slices of pie, just 10 slices of pie. Okay. And her categories are career, romance, family and friends, physical health, emotional wellness. So she has those slices of pie. She has 5 sections, but she says all of those are not going to be the same size, right? So career, romance, family and friends, physical health, emotional wellness. And your pie might have a certain size slice in a certain week or a month, or even for a year, and next week or whatever, next quarter, that the slices are going to look a little different. And so I thought that was really helpful to think through that not everybody's balance looks the same. So while, I'm a frantic workhorse of a person constantly creating, and then I stop and I do vacation and don't engage in the world. Like that balance works for me. That might not work for you. And so thinking about a pie and thinking about 5 ways of your world, I think might be helpful for you. So this is Training Tuesday, and may I encourage you to have more balance in your life. I will see you soon. Take care.